What's going on, everybody? Doc from Average Gamer Guys, back at again. A little bit more Halo Wars 2 action. And today, we're talking about the same thing that we've been talking about for the last couple days. And really, at this point, I am really starting to wonder where the colony update is. Now, we got our last update from Sketch on the 24th, saying that they weren't going to nail down a date for the release of Colony. Obviously, we expected it last Wednesday, so we're now a week behind. Understandably, they were shooting for hopefully getting it out this Monday, because when they tried to go and release on past Wednesday, they realized there was that game-breaking bug, which again, if you aren't aware, essentially made it so that the skitterer units, one of the new units that we're getting, and one of the new cards that we're getting with this update, they're little units that can attach to other units, kind of boost their strength, damage output, that kind of stuff. And once those units got attached to whatever respective unit, in this instance they used Banshees as the example, and said once those units got attached to Banshees, that once those Banshees could sight in and attack, essentially the skitterer unit gave it those units so that they had unlimited range. So if you were playing in a multiplayer, you could fly those units over with a couple of skitterers on them, get one or two shots in on a base, fly them back to your base, and essentially just continue to shoot while being nowhere even close to the range of what those units are supposed to have. So obviously, again, we've talked about it before, huge game-breaking bug, would have been extremely frustrating if it would have released with it, and so I'm glad it did not. However, at this point, I'm kind of sitting here and really starting to wonder, are we going to see this thing? Are we going to see it this week? They've seemed pretty firm with that they were going to try to do that. I really hope they do. Obviously, the community is very patient, but I also think, those of you that are still playing or still pretty active in the game, I think we've all seen, kind of a slight downgrade of people playing this game. I've talked about it earlier where I was trying to queue up some threes, having some issues doing that, ranked blitz threes, just because honestly there wasn't a lot of people online at the time. And I think we've seen the player base for this game was really strong when it released. It was really awesome, people really figuring it out, having a good time. People that don't usually pick up RTSs, I think, were getting into it, which was really neat. But I think a little bit of that's worn off. I think the multiplayer, me and Sloth have talked about it a little bit. The multiplayer, it had some issues at the beginning, as most RTSs do, because you really don't know how people are going to try to break your game, essentially, and use strategies that, people really don't think about. And then once it happens and a few people see it, it's one of those things where everybody uses it because it's the only viable strategy. No, obviously they've fixed those things recently, and they've been really good about trying to stay in touch with the community, stay in touch with what the meta is, and balance things. I think we've seen some pretty good balance updates recently, and as the game has progressed forward, but it definitely is beyond the point now where the game did lose player base. People got a little bit bored with it. People didn't want to pay for card packs. And I've always been a fan and gone to the proponent that you don't need to buy the card packs in this game, but if you're trying to play at a high level, especially when the ranked play comes out, people want to have competitive cards, and if you're really serious about having competitive cards, you're probably going to need to buy some packs. Now, over the course of last week, in preparation for this Colony update that we're still waiting on, I've been doing every daily challenge. I've been trying to knock out all my weeklies, getting a couple levels up, but obviously I'm sitting at 26, so level ups are a little bit easier for me. So I'm sitting at about 18 packs right now. I'm really happy with that. I'm hoping the update's going to come out soon, today, right now. I'm hoping when I upload this video it's out. I highly doubt that, because it'll be pretty late at night, but my point here is, I think they need to be really careful, and I think they do need to get on a schedule that they can stick to to keep the player base enticed. I want a player base of people, that's diverse and big enough that I'm not playing the same 4 people over and over. One thing I've seen a lot in this game too is the fact of, you'll go into and you'll queue up a match. You'll finish that match, whether it be blitz or multiplayer. You'll go then back into that same playlist to play 2v2s or 3v3s again. You check your stats, you back out, you search again, and you end up playing the same people. I want the player base, and I think we all want the player base to be diverse enough that we don't have to have that happen. And sadly, I don't think we're there. I think what ends up happening with this game is once the release hits and people hear about it, hopefully, people hear from our channel and other channels that are doing Halo Wars and Xbox and all that stuff. They do a good job of promoting it, but hopefully once they hear it, then we get an influx of people that play for about a week. They get used to the new leader, they check it out. If it's cool, maybe they stay around an extra week. And then over time, they probably slowly dissipate. Maybe they only play a couple matches a day. And the next thing you know, 2 weeks later, they're probably not playing anymore until the next update comes out. I think if you stuck to your schedule, and I know it's hard, and again, I'm not trying to bash the team here, but at this point, it is a little frustrating that we want an update that comes out on time when it's supposed to. And if you can't stick to the original time frame, that's fine. Sketch said, moving forward, they're not sticking to the third Wednesday of the month, or second or third Wednesday of the month. They said that's not feasible until they figure out more specifically, what the issues are and if they're going to be able to hold to that. So I'm glad that they're kind of moving themselves away from that. But at the same token, I think, someone suggested, I think in the forums, well, why don't you move to, every 60 days? In my opinion, if you wait 60 days for an update in this game, especially if it's going to include balances like they seem like they're trying to do, I think your player base is going to be completely gone. Obviously there's a ton of people still playing it, but again, I think most of you would agree that it's not as many as it used to be, and that sucks. And like I said, I think the updates are going to be the biggest thing that help continue to bring people back, keep people interested. We see this a lot with, mobile games, for instance. Mobile games can run really well for the first little bit, but they have to be constant updates. And I think this is one of those games that's the same, because at a certain point, once maybe you reach a certain rank or you get cards to a certain level, there's no other reason to progress. And I don't think this game, unless you're a real diehard RTS, this game isn't going to soak up your attention when you can have other options of other games to play, like Call of Duty, like Halo, other shooter games, or just anything else out there on the market. If you want a fast multiplayer experience, this isn't going to be the fastest multiplayer experience you're going to get. You're going to get a good multiplayer experience, I think, as long as it's balanced, which, that's come into question a little bit recently for me and Sloth as well. But I think, like I said, you got to get the update out. You got to get it out and quick. And I think you got to try to find and figure out a way to hold to your promise of whatever you're telling the community your update schedule is going to be. To be honest, I know for me and Sloth, there was a time, a week and a half ago, so where we started to get really excited for the update, and then, but prior to that, there was a period of time where we were just kind of doing other things. We were playing Rocket League. We were just, playing other games essentially, because not that it got stale for us, but because, it got to the point where, we wanted to test some other things out, and there wasn't anything else really drawing or keeping our attention. Now, again, it might sound bad for some of you, we're not loyal Halo Wars fans. No, we're absolutely loyal Halo Wars fans. But the creative team has come about and said that they're going to do 6 months of monthly DLC updates. They're going to do new campaign missions, which we also haven't seen yet. And all that stuff I'm really looking forward to. And now we get our second DLC in a row that's been delayed. And now we're even delaying it past what we thought we were going to say. And again, I understand tons of stuff goes into it, so no knock against the team. I do want them to get it right. I hope everyone is like me and agrees with that we want it right. I just hope moving forward that, again, this is another one of those learning points, and we really say, hey, we're going to figure out a time frame, and we're going to figure out a way to stick to our time frame. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Hopefully we're getting the DLC soon. As always, as soon as it drops, ton of content coming out for it. We'll cover all of it. We'll cover the update. We'll cover all of the balance changes, everything that comes with it. I've been Doc with Average Gamer, guys. If you're new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe, like, and then as always, let us know your comments and your thoughts down below. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. This was one of our better games of Blitz that me and Sloth played. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. We'll check you next time.